Hello, everyone, and welcome again. Charles Johnson, lead trainer and technical engineer at Lynxspring. And we're going to go with the second video here, which is actually just how to use a BACnet over IP relay. Again, shout out to Functional Devices for giving me this relay. However, we're going to go ahead and first off just open up our favorite web browser that we want to use. And again, we're going to go to functionaldevices.com. And so while we were dealing with a fan safety relay, this is just a regular, more standard relay that we would use for really kind of any kind of control. But again, under intelligent field devices, we're going to go back to BACnet, and here we're actually just going to go with the RibTW2421B, and this is the IP relay here. So the Ethernet jack or RJ45 jack is at the top here. But I'll go ahead and get here and show you what it is. So it actually does have more, shows you here a picture of the enclosure, what the different lights mean, including the contact rating. And now if I hit download datasheet, well, let's see what this one gives me. Well, it gives me, again, kind of a layout of what we need to have here. So we've got 120 to 277 for the red and the black, and we have our normal wires for our contacts. In addition, we have potential to pick up a dry contact from somewhere, such as status off of a device or another, maybe kind of remote alarm. And this accepts 24 AC or DC. And so, again, much like the other relay, this is a full wave device. So if you have half wave devices, as they show you here, make sure that you connect the commons, put a diode in between. Otherwise, make sure that on 24 volts AC that the ground is floating, or just use 24 volts DC. And again, make sure you read all the notes when you do this. I find very often that that people, when they do retrofit, they just assume that a lot of devices are since a lot of devices are half wave, it's just half wave, and they throw it in there and they wire it up. And then, of course, again, you let the smoke out of things. So I am going to be working with, again, our Edge 534, which is also a full wave device. So these two devices tied to the same power supply would not have an issue. But then again, I'm also using 24 volts DC. But it tells you the BACnet details again, and it tells you the decimal value where the last octet of the device's MAC address. So depending upon what that octet is on the MAC address, we'll give the decimal number. Now, out of the box, this is actually DHCP. Now, how do I know that it's DHCP out of the box? Well, I've used some of these. I've used a few of these in the field. However, what you'll want to do is you'll actually just want to go back to where you can find the data sheet, and if you go down here, there's additional downloads. And if I just expand the additional downloads, there's a sales sheet, there's a wiring diagram, there's also a bulletin here. And if I look at this bulletin, it actually tells me what the details are. In addition, the configuration details. So if I go ahead and just get my zoom in here, it says that, using the discovery tool, add the device to a network, and also make note of the IP address. And then you can open up the web browser and type in the IP address in the URL bar. This will actually be just HTTP, not HTTPS, and it does serve 3 pages. It does show the status of the inputs and outputs. Technically, it's actually the third page that you'll see is the BACnet objects, and then the second one in the middle is actually where you can configure configure this from DHCP to static. So from here, since we have all of this necessary, I'm going to go ahead and just close this out, and I'm going to go back to my workbench, and I'm going to go to my station, my config space, my drivers container, and I'm just going to double click on the BACnet network. And after I double click the BACnet network to bring up the BACnet device manager, I'm going to go ahead and hit discover. Now, since I've already discovered my BACnet MSTP rib, I don't need that one. So I'm just going to go ahead and select my IP network that I have. I know it's set up because that's the number I set it up on. Now, again, as I hit discover here, we're going to go ahead and see that we have a bunch of devices, and here we have this 277.251. So now we know that this is a 192.168.1.30. So that was the IP address it was given from this. But if you didn't have the discovery tool right here, if you had something like Colosoft Mac Scanner or Angry IP, you could actually, search for your devices that are unknown, and obviously the one that would be unknown would be this device. And so if I go ahead and just drag this down in here, and I'm going to name this BACnet over IP rib, BACnet _ IP _ rib. And I'm going to keep everything the same. Now this 192.168.1.30:0xBAC0. So this hex right here, the 0xBAC0, is actually port 47808. So it's actually listening on that specific port. And if I want to change the device ID, I can go ahead and change this here. And now I can name this, let's say 19,000, let's say 19,030 just for the IP address. And I'm going to hit OK. And so it says it's changed it. So let's go ahead and hit the refresh tab. So we can see that the device ID has indeed changed. And so now if I go to my rib here and I get my discovery on, I can see that I have both the BI1 and BO1. So I'm just going to drag in the BO here again. And because again it's a binary output, I need to set the enabled flag to true. And I'm just going to name this exhaust fan again. I'm going to keep everything else the same. And now we see here off OK at default. Now that default may not be the actual fallback. And as you can see, the fallback isn't here. And so if I go ahead and hit set to fallback, it'll show it there. But this actually accepts at an input 16. So I actually am going to try to write to input 10 rather than input 16. And as I go to the AX wire sheet of my points container, again, just going to set up a Boolean test output here and set this to, I'm going to actually just set this to true this time, and let's go and put input 10. And actually, I just heard the contact, I just heard the relay click. So if I go ahead and turn it off here, again, I can hear it change, and in a moment it'll go off. Now, if I go back to the web browser, so now we know that we have control here. Let's show you a couple things. So now, if I go to 192.168.1.30, we can see that we have my rib here. So again, the main will actually show the relay control. The BACnet here, you can see that it actually did change the instance number here, and if I need to, I can set the factory defaults here. And then if I want to, I can go to setup here, and under setup, we can see that I can actually choose to set a password if I would like to. Which I would recommend. We can choose the port number if we would like, and then even if I want to, just set it to static, and I'm going to keep it at .30. I'm going to keep everything else the same, and I'm going to go ahead and hit save config. And now once I do that, it'll go ahead and reboot this. So as long as it's in progress, we can just stay here at this. At this device. But if I just go ahead and click here again, we can see now everything is back to normal. And that's really all I have. Again, this is actually a very simple setup. So again, I showed you the fan safety relay, but obviously if it were a regular MSTP, we can find that too. And again, if I went to the main, we can see here the priority by default is 16, but we can actually change it to whatever priority that we would want if we want to actually change the control from this particular site here or web page. Well, that's all I have. So I wish you a great one, and I'll see you on the next one.